This video is presented by Western and Southern Financial Group, a game plan for your financial future. Every great team starts with a strong foundation, and your future should too. With life insurance built like a championship roster, Western and Southern helps protect what matters most so you can focus on winning today while planning for tomorrow. Whether you're just starting out your journey, building your dynasty, or ready to retire like a champion, Western and Southern has the right play for your life stage. Visit westernsouthern.com to get your free life insurance quote today. Western and Southern, built to win. Ravens and the Packers. Ravens take care of business here for this next game. They win 41-24 was the final score. Even though they lost the game, Green Bay does clinch a playoff spot. They are going to be in the 7th seed now that the Detroit Lions have been eliminated. Top 5 graded players for the Baltimore Ravens, who because of this win and the Steelers' loss, showdown for the AFC North, baby, coming up in Week 18. You love to see that. Derrick Henry, top of the list, highest graded player with a 90.0. Well, I shouldn't sell Travis Jones short. He was also tied with a 90.0. Dalton actually wrote this graphic, so I'm going to ask him in a second, hey, why'd you put Derrick Henry number 1? What do you got against Travis Jones? Edge rusher Draymond Jones is number 3 here with an 82.3. Tight end Mark Andrews is 77.5. Wide receiver Zay Flowers is 77.4. And then Tyler Huntley in this game filling in for Lamar Jackson, an 82.0. On Green Bay side of things, wide receiver Christian Watson with a 90.7. Wide receiver Romeo Doubs, an 82.6. Edge rusher Lucas Van Ness with an 80.6. Offensive tackle Jordan Morgan, a 79.7. Linebacker Edgerrin Cooper, a 67.3. But Malik Willis, he just said after the game, he's like, hey, every time I go out there, I'm potentially interviewing, if you will, auditioning for a potential starting job somewhere else. 95.6 overall PFF grade. I know he had that shoulder injury that he went through, and he wasn't able to finish the game for them on that final drive. But, man, Malik Willis has looked good this season when he has filled in for the Green Bay Packers. And so, Dalton, your stat that told the story, but first of all, what do you got against Travis Jones, man? Why'd Travis Jones get number 2 instead of Derrick Henry?
Tell you what, next time. Well, I'll tell you that. I'll tell you that part in a second. Really, why we could split them. But you know what? Next time I'll remember. If I get 2 guys with the exact same, I'll give you the old tie for first graphic. How's that sound?
There you go. Yeah.
We'll do that.
Yeah.
But
like
you know, listen. The Ravens' run game, though, was really in the spotlight this entire way. As a team, all right, here's all the season highs they set as a team in this game. 89.5 rushing grade. 53 carries, 307 yards, 192 of them after contact, 4 touchdowns, 22 first downs on the ground in this game for Baltimore, 9 missed tackles forced. And one thing that sticks out to me, you've mentioned this in past episodes with the Ravens going to more gap scheme runs, run in power, get behind the strong side, the tight ends, the fullbacks, okay? In this game, with a lead blocker, generally that means big 300-pound Patrick Ricard at fullback. 34 carries, 205 yards, 3 touchdowns. They essentially said, not only is it hard enough to tackle Derrick Henry in cold weather, but you got to go through one of the best blocking tight ends in the league in Charlie Kolar. You got to get over a big 320-pound pulling guard, and then you got to get through Patrick Ricard, the big 300-pound fullback, and then you have to tackle Derrick Henry. So it's really right now maybe the hardest task in football in cold weather, both getting to Derrick Henry and then bringing him down. And then the most outstanding, I know you're saying it's a little biased towards the offensive guys here, but how could it not be Derrick Henry, right? 85.7 rushing grade, 36 carries. You just don't see this anymore. He is not a normal running back. 36 carries. He might be the only back in the league that can handle that sort of workload. 216 yards, 4 touchdowns, 146 yards after contact. And credit to him, Trevor. You know why he gets first place over Travis Jones here. He's now 10th all-time in rushing yards and 4th all-time in rushing touchdowns. Derrick Henry with one of his patented legacy games here. Just unbelievable the way that he carried the Ravens back into postseason contention, and I'm sure they'll be expecting him to do more of the same next week against Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I tweeted this out after the game. I mean, when you look at Derrick Henry and his career just in the game of football, I don't have his peewee stats, off the top of my head. I didn't call his parents to get those, but he had over 12,000 yards in high school, in his 4-year high school career. He had over 2,000 yards in one season at Alabama, but 3,500 rushing yards in 3 seasons when he was at Alabama with the Heisman Trophy. He now has over 12,500 rushing yards in the NFL. You mentioned that is top 10 all time. And he just had the game that he did about to be 32 years old. I mean, he's 32 years old, I think, next week. And he did this. He got 36 carries in week 17. We're not talking about starting the season fresh. He's got fresh legs. Week 3, week 17. Simply put, this is one of the best football players to ever play the sport. Ever, regardless of position. Derrick Henry is unbelievable. He is a legend of the game. And this game was just, it's one that we will look back on. And when you talk about Derrick Henry's greatness at the position, when you talk about him and put his name up there with some of the best that have ever played the game at the pro level, as we should, so many people are going to point to this game and be like, look what this dude did when he was 32 years old. Well, almost 32 years old. That's the type of performance that I think that we're talking about here. The stat that told the story for me is one that you already mentioned. 22 first downs on the ground. That's the type of team that this team wants to be. You mentioned that I've talked about it over the last couple of weeks, trying to be more of a power rushing team. And I think through the first half of the season, the issue was they didn't really trust their guards to be consistent enough to run between the tackles and run a lot of power in those man and gap scheme concepts. And so they're like, okay, well, let's try to do that a little bit more, but let's try to put a lead blocker out there. You mentioned Patrick Ricard, who I can't remember who said this on the broadcast, but they were like, oh yeah, he's 300, like they got a 300-pound fullback in there. I'm like, Patrick Ricard's like 300 pounds. There's no way he's 300 pounds. Then you take one look at him and you go, yeah, guy might be 300 pounds. So you mentioned, you talked about being able to run as a power rushing team. And I think at the beginning of the season, they wanted to just be sort of this duo between the tackles. That's our power north to south run scheme. That's what we want to do. They have since had to adjust. And they're like, okay, well, we're not having as much success running behind our interior guys as we want to. So now they're pulling guys outside. Now they've got lead blockers at tight end. Now they got lead blockers at fullback that they're leaning a lot more into. And now they're still able to be a power running downhill team, but in a different way. You're getting around the guard issue that they have had this season. So the Ravens are playing good football. I'm excited to see them against the Steelers next week. My most impressive, I'll go with Travis Jones because I don't hate him. I'll give him a shout out here. I'm just kidding. 90.0 overall, as we already mentioned. 97.8 run defense grade. 83.0 pass rushing grade. I think for the Ravens, a big issue for them this year not only has been their lack of the ability to be consistent in the run game, which I just talked about, but it's also the defensive line, which has really struggled. We've highlighted the lack of pass rush that this team has had overall, but really just without Nnamdi Madubuike in the middle, they have missed that anchor in which everything on their defensive line revolves around. And Travis Jones has grown into a player that I don't want to say he's exactly like Nnamdi Madubuike yet, but they now lean on him as the center of whatever they're doing on that defensive line. And he is consistently rewarding him. And so he was very impressive in this game. He's been impressive the second half of the season. Most disappointing for me is just the Packers' injuries all around. Jordan Love obviously not in this game. Michael Parsons obviously not in this game. Malik Willis gets hurt in this game and he's not able to come back in, although it's late. You know, it's a shoulder injury that he was dealing with from a couple of weeks back when he got power drived into the ground there. Not saying that it was malicious or anything. It's just the game of football. It is what it is. Josh Jacobs doesn't play as much as he could have in this game because of injury. So the Packers have a Super Bowl caliber type of roster when they are fully healthy, but they're not fully healthy. And unfortunately, timing and luck sometimes goes into how far you go in the postseason. And I think that that's just a big bummer for the Packers because they are a really talented football team. They're just really beat up right now. They only got 1 week until that postseason starts, and we know that they're not getting the 1 seed, so they're going to be playing on wild card weekend. So just tough, and that's a disappointing part. But most disappointing, most impressive, anything else from you on this one?
No, I think the only other thing I'd say, the two quarterbacks, both of them were really, really good. Malik Willis tried his damnedest to keep his team in the game despite all the defensive miscues there in the run game. And then, look, Tyler Huntley, I think if you talk about we're not sure if Lamar Jackson's going to play next week in Pittsburgh, they can win with Tyler Huntley as their quarterback. He was really good in this game. Obviously, the stats not as flashy as Malik Willis's, but he made the throws that he needed to. He took off running when he needed to, and I think he has shown time and again for this Ravens team across multiple years that when they need him to step up and make some plays, he's able to do that. So I just want to commend the two quarterbacks for the way they played as well.
Pro Bowler
Tyler Huntley. There's a reason he made the Pro Bowl. That is true.
Can't forget about it.
Everyone's got takes. Numbers have truth. And the truth is, most people are betting with emotion. Sportsbooks feed on it. TikTok gurus sell it. The hype machine runs on it. That's how you lose. PFF is different. You're betting with winning data. The same data trusted by all 32 NFL teams and the sharpest minds in the game. PFF betting tools take every prop, every matchup, every angle, and run them through our custom models. Built on the best football data in the world. What comes back is your edge. Simple, sharp, and built to win. Want to go deeper? PFF puts a pro-level analytics department in your hands, giving you the same insights teams use to find every advantage. Build your game plan with matchup analysis. Project every snap, every matchup, and every edge before kickoff. Because the smartest plays start long before Sunday. Hit rates show how a player performs against their prop and against defenses built the same way. It's the data that gives you real confidence in every pick. Next, Key Insights translates PFF data into the story behind every matchup, giving you the why that powers your bets. From coverage schemes to defensive looks, it's the context that turns raw numbers into winning decisions. When you're ready to take action, filter through every prop on the market and focus on the opportunities that matter, by game, matchup, or value. Then, shop for the best available line in your area and tap your book of choice to place the bet instantly. Everyone's got takes, but now you've got truth. Bet with data, win with PFF.